Hello everyone, I'm Marcy. Welcome back to my channel, and today we'll be celebrating the start of my favorite season. Look at me, I'm so excited. As you can see, we'll be going to a pumpkin farm, making some treats, decorating the house, and of course a bunch of creative stuff. I hope all of these will inspire you to celebrate the start of the season a little bit as well. We are starting this day with a beautiful sunrise, because I'm up early. That's actually one of my favorite parts of this part of the year, that you can see the sunrise and the sunset if you want to. But for right now, I'm just gonna have a cup of my favorite apple cinnamon tea in my favorite cute black cat mug, and then I'm gonna start cooking. I did a bunch of that throughout the day, but for the sake of those of you who want to skip that part, I'm just gonna clump all of the cooking together. I'm gonna be baking a bunch of apples because specifically what I really wanted was an apple milkshake. Because I wanted to celebrate the start of fall, but also it's honestly still kinda hot, so it seems like a perfect solution. What I'm making here is essentially apple pie filling. So I'm just chopping up a whole bunch of apples and I'm gonna pan fry them in some butter with some sugar and spices on them. But before all that, of course, my bird needs a bite. I thought I could get a cute shot of her eating it right here, but no. Parrots don't care about making pretty shots, so she's just gonna eat this in her favorite spot, where she's not even supposed to be, which is on top of the door. But let me show you this footage of her eating a tiny croissant that is an example of what I had in mind. Ah well, as long as she's happy, right? Anyway, back to the apples. I'm coating these in sugar, cinnamon, and a bunch of this stuff. This is called speculaas. It's popular where I live, and it's like a pumpkin spice blend with cardamom added in, basically. So it's a little bit like a chai, or a little bit Christmassy, I guess. Try it, it's really good. If you're gonna cook this too, I'm sorry there aren't specific measurements, but that's why we're gonna do this in a frying pan, so you can just add some more stuff if you want to. I added these to the pan with a couple tablespoons of butter, and then just let them sit in there at medium heat for about 20 minutes. I like to add half a cup of hot water in there at some point, both to help them cook and because I want to have kind of a caramel sauce by the end. So when my apples are about done, I mix a couple teaspoons of cornstarch with some cold water and I stir that in there. And then by the end you'll have this wonderful texture. Look at that! For breakfast, I just put this in some yogurt with some pecans and pumpkin seeds. Had to drop some on the table as well, of course. But let me show you what I'm gonna do with these later. First we have the milkshake I mentioned. I am putting a couple scoops of ice cream, then some of this apple mixture, and I top it with some soy milk. And then all you have to do is blend it up. Again, no real measurements, but I don't think you can mess this up. It's gonna be delicious no matter what. Then a final thing this apple stuff is really good on is toast. And for that, I'll also be making a flavored cream cheese. I'm all about quick and easy stuff, so again, it's just 4 ingredients, and you just taste as you go. We've got the actual cream cheese, of course. We're gonna do some lemon juice. I think I have about a tablespoon in there. Then some kind of liquid sweetener. I'm having maple syrup here, but I've done it with agave nectar before as well, and it went great. And finally, a very large amount of cinnamon. After mixing, it looks a little bit like this, and like I said, it's good on toast with the apples, or you can dip some biscuits in it. It keeps quite a while in the fridge. This has been Cooking with Marcy. Now let's actually have that breakfast. At the start of every fall, I like to watch Over the Garden Wall, which is such a beautiful show, one of my absolute favorites. Especially the second episode, because, well, look at it. And when I was done eating, I went to color my coloring page that I specifically made so I could do this. Since I am an artist though, this begs the question, is it still a coloring page when I do it, or did I just wait to color my drawing? But it did feel different for me because markers are not my normal tool, and I had such a fun time. And also, if you want to color this, it is free on my Patreon. I'll put a link in a comment. I think that it does want you to have an account, so I'm sorry for the hassle of that. But yeah, I hope you'll love coloring it as much as I did. Here's a little bit of the process of me drawing it as well. Because I work traditionally, and I still want it to be as smooth as possible, I worked with a pretty thick pen on pretty big paper, and it was really satisfying to do. And this is basically me just doing fan art, so I'm really happy. This is basically a compilation of the first 2 episodes, because they're my favorites. If you've watched this show, you'll recognize them by the candies, the teapot, and the big pumpkin guy back there. And again, this has been so much fun. I think I need to do more coloring pages in the future, for sure. But let's get back to celebrating fall, shall we? I was now doing something I do at the start of every season, which is a tarot spread. I like to light some candles, draw some cards, but also spend some time just thinking about what I want out of the season and what I'm grateful for from the previous season. It's always a lovely time, and I think it's really helpful to spend some time thinking about that, because I don't know about you, but for me, life can kind of rush by sometimes, and I feel happier when I know that I've made a conscious decision about how to spend all that time. I used my Cozy Witch deck this time because, well, it's my favorite one, but also I think it has a fall vibe to it. I love that I drew this Queen of Cups card that looks a lot like me, and then also this one that depicts Samhain/Halloween. I did some journaling about my plans and about my spread, and I actually put this pretty orange ink in my pen specifically to do this. Isn't that fun? And if you're curious, I've had quite the year health-wise, so the cards and I agree that I will dedicate this season to resting and taking really good care of myself. After that, we went to visit some pumpkin farms, and apparently we're quite lucky because from talking to some of my friends, I found out most of you don't have pumpkins out there yet, but they do here. And we started at my very favorite one, which is right in my city. It's absolutely incredible the amount of variety that this woman has on her farm. It is always so hard to choose what to take with me, and I do tend to take quite a few. This little white guy is my favorite find of the bunch. Last year I found one similar to this and realized, oh, that could very easily be a little ghost. And I got so excited about it, and now every farm I go to, I look for a pumpkin I can make a ghost out of. I'll show you what that looks like later. As you can probably tell from the footage, I am very excited. And we mostly bought a lot of smaller pumpkins to put around the house, because we figured we could get a bigger pumpkin, just a normal big orange pumpkin, pretty much anywhere. A point we're about to prove at the next farm. We had seen this place just on the drive home one day, and I'd been itching to go back there, so now I finally got to do that. It was a really pretty drive too. As you can see, it's already gloomy out here. And we saw this little stall on the way, so bonus pumpkins! At this spot I found a really unique one that looks like it's bleeding ink out of it. I love it so much. Extra spooky. But now here's the farm. These folks are also really into clowns. So something unique they have here is lots of pumpkins that the woman paints faces on. I think these are so fun. Although I didn't get any of them because I want to paint my own. And this man told me that he has over 120 pumpkin vines every year, and that this is just something he does for a hobby because he loves them. So it was really fun to get to have a chat about it. And we found some more really cute pumpkins, including a really big one that I'm kind of hoping will survive until it's pumpkin carving time in October, but we'll see. That's kind of the downside of starting so early. But hey, if that pumpkin doesn't make it until then, I get to have another fun farm trip, so. This is the entire pumpkin haul. What do you think? Did I pick the right ones? And at this point, I sat down right away to paint my white pumpkins. Do you like this year's ghosts? I really love the one on the left. I put it in a spot where I can see it all the time. And this is definitely something I recommend you try. These little faces are quick and simple, and they're such a fun little activity, and the result is adorable. If you pick anything from this video to do for yourself, make it this. We spent a little while spreading all the pumpkins around the house in the front yard, and then it was time for a slightly late lunch. And I've gotta say, guys, I feel like I've already lived an entire day, but no, just a little bit afternoon. We wanted to watch Practical Magic, which is another thing that I think is perfect for that period where summer turns into fall, because I think that is the vibe that the movie has too. I just had my apple toast, and Paul wanted to make some pancakes like in the movie. He did originally try to make them cactus-shaped, but he quickly realized that the batter was a lot thinner than he thought, so that didn't quite work out. But I had a bite from these, and I can confirm they are still very awesome. Good for him. While making this, I realized that this movie doesn't have that good of a rating, and I was so shocked. Because Paul and I love it, and we've watched it a million times. But now I'm curious, is it just us? Do you guys like this? I think it's really fun and really sweet. This was definitely a fun lunch, and my back was thankful for me sitting down for a longer while. The big thing with the fall is of course that it's harvest season, so this is a really great time to go into your garden or to someone else's farm for some fresh produce. They don't really do apple picking here, but that would have been really cool on a day like this. In our own garden, there's curiously little to harvest right now because our squash is gonna need a little bit more time. But by the way, how awesome is this plant? I have been enjoying this so much as it has been growing. But yeah, it's not ready. We harvested our figs and dried those last month. But I pulled them out to tell you about it, because another thing to make the autumn fun is to preserve some stuff. My cardamom is also gonna need a little bit more time, but we're gonna get some sage. And of course there's always a little bit of mint. Give it some real thought before you put mint in your garden, guys, because you will have it forever, trust me. Let's also celebrate this single tiny strawberry that I found on that bush. The sage I'll be drying right here next to my chamomile. I actually really don't like the taste of it, but I really like the smell, so we can burn some when it's dried. It's also fun to look at when it's just hanging out here, which is exactly why I have yet to take down the chamomile. While I was doing the garden stuff, my husband was kind enough to help me with something. I had gathered some flower pots, 2 new ones and 1 thrifted, that I wanted to put my plants into. But I've been dealing with an injury, like a bonus one on top of the stuff that I already had going on. And I wouldn't have been able to do this, but he kindly offered to do it for me. Thank you, Paul. They look so beautiful in their new pots, don't you think? And this is why it is forever Halloween around this house. I mean, I'm not gonna pull the plants back out of these pots because it's not fall anymore, you know? They all look so nice in their actual spots. I can't really show you this last one though because the sun has decided to come out. Another suggestion I have for you to do to celebrate the changing of the seasons is to go for a nice little walk. I didn't have it in me at this point because of the injury I mentioned before, but you should. What you're looking at now is some of the things that I had spotted in the weeks before this. There's already some orange leaves and some mushrooms here and there. It's really pretty. But mostly I will be thankful if I get to go on a lot of hikes late October, early November, because here in the Netherlands, that is when it starts to look like this. Which just makes me wish that I could spend my entire days outside. I think one of the most fun ways of appreciating all the seasons is to go out there and to see what's changing in nature. I find that so rewarding and just really fun. I've actually started making a list for myself of which places are the most beautiful at which times. So next year maybe I'll get some even better views. Another great way to make the season shift fun is a mood board. So that's what I did next. Did I need a fall mood board? No, not really, because I've got this one on my wall, but that's not the point. I want one in a journal now. And the way I do these is I start with absolutely every picture that fits the vibe for me, and there'll be a general vibe to the full set, at which point I'll start removing the ones that fit in the least until, there's a small enough amount to actually work with. I don't know about you, but for me that's a fun part of the process, just to get to see all my pretty papers. For my mood board, I went heavy on nature and resting and just gentle, fun Halloween stuff. This lady was too summery though, so I went and colored her dress. My marker gave this a texture that I didn't expect, but I kind of think it makes it look like velvet, so that's okay. When I decided what I wanted to keep, roughly anyway, I put down together somewhat of a layout and stuck down the bottom layer of it, and then I started honing in on some details. Like, I really love that this lady has the sun behind her. And I ultimately decided to go with this little hedgehog because I found a little pumpkin to put on him as a hat. Because you don't know the struggle of deciding what animal to put on this, because I have quite a few of those. I even asked my followers what to use, and it's a good thing they did say hedgehog. Because again, the hat. It's so cute. So yeah, I filled in the final gaps and I trimmed it back down, and this is what we ended up with. I quite like it. This collage is actually gonna get sewn into a journal. Let me show you what I mean. I made this journal for me to work in the summer, and it had a mood board and a bucket list, and I thought it was so much fun. So even though I can't fill a full journal for every season, for now I think it's really fun to do the bucket lists. And with this, the first day of fall, I got to color the last of the activities in the summer one, which is so much fun. And by the way, that's not the mood board on the right, that's just a collage that I thought felt like summer, and one that I really love. That cow fits behind that lady so perfectly, it makes me smile every time. But like I said, we're gonna do the same thing for a fall journal. So on the back of that mood board, I'm also gonna make a bucket list. And this one's gonna have really gentle, cozy activities just to make sure that if this injury lingers a while, I'll still be able to do all these things, and that even though I'm not feeling all that great, I'll have some fun stuff to look forward to. And I think that's exactly the point of having a bucket list. Especially for those of you with seasonal depression, it can be super helpful to always have some things planned to look forward to. And for me, it really helps when my health is being rather unpredictable, which is often. So I've got things like pumpkin carving, a movie day, a spa day, a walk, a book, stuff like that. And the pumpkin farm, I suppose I could technically already color in, but I'm not gonna. Because for the sake of having this up on the first day of fall for you guys, I filmed this a couple weeks before the start of fall. So technically we went in the summer. But I truly think a bucket list is one of the most effective ways to make you feel excited about any of the seasons. Another thing I haven't done yet, but I did for the summer, and I'm gonna do for the fall, is to gather some books that I think fit the season. I don't know about you, but I love to read a story that matches the weather. At this point it started getting dark, so I took that as an opportunity to light some candles. I love this one that projects little stars. And we went back into the kitchen one more time. We are making very oversized peanut butter cups because we ordered these molds and we kind of misjudged the size of them. So now we've got these like almost egg-sized peanut butter cups. But that's okay, we can like slice them up or share them. So while we watch me and my husband make a mess with this stuff, I quickly wanted to touch again on the topic that I barely covered, but that is the most obvious part of celebrating the start of the season, which is decoration. As you probably saw throughout, we don't really decorate for fall because that stuff is always out. The fresh pumpkins are kind of all we add. But I do think decorating is one of the most fun ways to get excited about a season. I don't need help getting excited about the fall. I kinda needed it more for summer, which is why I did the journal. But hey, maybe you're sad about summer ending and you want fall to be fun, then there's definitely a lot of really cute decor that you can do. Or make. Making your own is even better. But I just wanted to address why I barely brought it up. This is just our regular decorations. This is just what our house looks like, and that's why I didn't really focus on decorating. So for these peanut butter cups, we learned from last year's, which had the peanut butter kind of sticking out the outside. So we did the chocolate in the molds, and then we put it in the freezer for a while, so they'd actually hold their shape. The filling mixture is peanut butter with a little bit of extra salt and some syrup, just to make it a little bit sweeter, because this chocolate is very dark. And we do this every year because I can't have dairy and my country doesn't have plant-based peanut butter cups. So we're trying to get good at making our own. Now, was that successful this time? I'm gonna say yes, because they are delicious, but only 2 of them had their little pumpkin stems still on them because those kept breaking off of all of them. You'll see when they're done. But while I had them in the freezer, I also made some peanut brittle because invariably there will be a little bit of chocolate left over, and there was this time as well, so I just tossed in some peanuts and stirred them, and that's peanut brittle done. Another really simple thing you can make. And here's our pumpkins after they came out of the freezer. They're still cute, don't you think? Now I've got one more cheaty activity to add that I did the next morning because I needed the light for filming. I hope you'll forgive me, but I know I've got a lot of planner people here, so we're gonna do a little planner spread. And I was in a little bit of a pickle because, like I said, I filmed this about a week and a half before today. So what I decided to do as inspiration for you guys for this video, for this theme, was to make an entry for the first day of fall, but I'm gonna leave some writing space for when it's actually that day for me. This is gonna be another really quick technique that gives you a really beautiful effect. My favorite. We're gonna do just the words "Happy First Day of Fall" surrounded by some pretty quote-unquote leaves. And a quick tip for the writing part. You can make just about any font look kind of fancy by only pressing down on your pen when you're doing a downstroke. And that variety in the line thickness is gonna make it pretty. For the color part, you can use either a marker or some watercolor like I'm doing. Get some yellow and hold your brush really close to the paper so that it creates kind of some ovals and triangles when you press it down. And that's exactly what you're gonna do. You're gonna tap it down a whole bunch, but you're gonna leave some white spots. That's what's really gonna make it look leafy. Then you wanna grab an orange and go over the top of the yellow, but just in some areas. Use that kind of sparingly. And then you can optionally go on top even with some brown as well, but just make sure it's even less than you did with the orange. So that's a technique that creates a whole bunch of depth and is really fun to look at without you having to put in a lot of time or effort. This is one of my favorite things to do in here, and I do think it looks pretty now as well. And let me quickly show you the entry for the actual day I recorded the video. I made that one about the peanut butter cups. I had fun making that writing look like peanut butter. But that brings us to the end of this video. I hope this gave you some ideas to make the most out of the start of the season. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!